This is The Countdown, discussing tomorrow's news today as our top guests tackle the issues that matter with a sharp take on every story.
And now, here is your host, Andrew Weeks.
All right, a very good morning, and welcome to another edition of The Countdown. My name is Andrew Weeks. We are here again. It is Sunday, the 28th of September in the year of our Lord 2025. So we want to thank all of you for joining us at this time. It is going to be an exciting program. I have with me Mr. Sharma Solomom. He is the MP-elect under the APNU banner. He's going to be in Parliament. He is the mayor of Linden, but I want to suspect that he's going to be resigning as that from that office, and he's going to be taking up a higher office in the Parliament. He's going to be a legislator. Oh Lord, he's going to be making laws and passing laws in the House of Parliament, in the 13th Parliament. I want to believe also that this 13th Parliament is going to be very exciting, very exciting. There's a lot of movements, not only in the Parliament, but there's a lot of movements also in the RDC, where the APNU, the PNCR used to be running things, so to speak. But no more. There is going to be a different movement running things in Linden, the Win Party. But APNU, they have a glorious opportunity for another coalition. And so, let's get the ball rolling and bring in Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, good morning and welcome to The Countdown.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing, sir? You caught me taking an early morning at the office to look after some matters, but thank you for having me on your show, Andrew.
It is always a pleasure to have you, Mr. Mayor, soon to be MP-elect. Glad to have you. Let me thank you for being a part of the show. You were here last year. I'm not sure if we had you early in the year, but you're here. And we're almost at the ending of the year. It seems to me like we always having this thing where I'm having you just almost at the end of the year. I am not. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the Lord's will, but I always have you at this time of the year, in this capacity. But very soon you're going to be in a different capacity, and it's going to be a different ball game. It's going to be a whole different thing here. And so, Mr. Mayor, let me thank you for being a part of the program. It is always a pleasure having you on the show. And I want to start off my first question with giving you, just to confirm, you have given up the post of mayor, or about to give up the post of mayor. Your new role now is going to be soon to be given up the post of mayor. You are now going to be an MP, which happened to be very promising. My question to you is, why did you accept that post, and what are you hoping to achieve, in this new role, and what guarantee or promises you are making now to the constituency of Linden that is different from your predecessors?
Thanks again for having me, Andrew. And I think that's a very, very good question in terms of the role to serve in the legislature, to ensure that I am part of this 13th Parliament and be in the National Assembly, where it's different from the RDC in the municipality. But there is where I want to start from. I have had the humble privilege and honor to serve as regional chairman and having the opportunity to be chair of a council and to see how the dynamics of the regional policy making agenda is set and how that is actually constructed and actually established and you get work done. I
Yeah.
also had the privilege and humble opportunity to now, as I'm doing, serve as the mayor. And in these chambers, I've had the opportunity to do at that level to see how we can get 28 to 1 to ensure that we formulate, articulate, and put in place proper policies and bylaws that allow the residents in Linden to be able to have a level of people-centered, front and center approach and that good life to ensure that they live as decent Guyanese should live. I think having those experiences of the RDC and municipality and seeing where those policy initiatives are driven from and how to aggregate those policies at that local or those local level, it is now important for us to take these agenda to the National Assembly. Not that we never had before parliamentarians, but I think the experiences that I've gained from those two local government agencies and over the period of seeing how the dynamics of the politics and how policies and laws should be there to work for those agencies and how they will impact and affect the lives of citizens. I think it's very fitting having the opportunity, humble to serve in the National Assembly, will allow me to bring aggregatedly these matters and better allow me to articulate them on behalf of not only Lindeners on Region 10, but Guyanese at large, with reference to the things that will put them front and center and to improve their lives. So I think I'm very capable coming with the experience and having the opportunity to serve in these two local democratic councils to build the knowledge of what are the things that are affecting people, what are the things that will improve their lives, and how we have been doing it at the local level, and how we want to advance that at the national level.
Your predecessor, Jorman Figuera, would have left a trademark in your region. You had two MPs there. You had Jorman Figuera, you have Devin Sears, former MP. But he has jumped over to the PPP, and that has caused a rift in not only in the PNC, but that has caused a rift within the constituency of Linden. Um, how are you? How are you taking that? How is the party taking that big blow? In a sense, not really a big blow, but a betrayal, if you want to put it like that, a betrayal that your predecessor would jump ship, go to another party, and probably maybe cause some of the problems that you're having right now with not retaining um, your majority in Linden. How are you watching that? Have you been chatting with Mr. Figuera since he left the party and left the your companionship as a fellow colleague in the party? Have you been having any conversation with him? Do you meet and talk, or are you still far away from one another? How the party's taking that?
Well, I am not someone who is holds animosity towards anyone. And I believe it's a democratic and fundamental right of anyone to choose whatever political affiliation that they so desire. So I have absolutely no problems with whoever, including Mr. Figuera, that would like to associate themselves with whatever party they want to. I'll also say this further to that. The results of election 2025 demonstrated that the People's Progressive Party got only a few hundred votes compared to 2020, which demonstrated that despite the heavy spending, despite the restriction to state media, despite the use of state resources as opposed to the opposition having an opportunity to do that, and notwithstanding all those who would have crossed over, it was not enough for them to do more than they did in terms of winning votes at the RDC as seats and also winning any votes in terms of putting them in the National Assembly. So I don't see that as significant, anything that was done in terms of anyone that crossed over, including Mr. Figuera. But like I said before, it is the right of any one of the members of the People's National Congress, the APNU, to associate themselves with whatever party they choose to. That is not our biggest concern. I think the results of the election showed where the biggest concern of the APNU should be with reference to any political competitor in the region. And that surely is not the People's Progressive Party.
Let's stay a little bit on the elections, because that is a very serious review that one needs to at least look at for the next coming elections, local government elections. There are a number of things that happened there. You were on the ground, you were doing your groundwork, you were talking to the citizens, asking them to come out. What do you think, especially for Linden, what do you think might have caused person? Because it says like about less than like a little bit over 48 or so percent of persons came out and vote in these elections.
Yeah.
What do you think might have caused that defeat for the party in Linden? The numbers not showing up to vote for the APNU.
I think that, the good thing that the party is doing, and I'm glad that the leader of the party is taking this approach to ensure that there is a comprehensive evaluation that must be done. I think that is a good start. And I think that will not only highlight not only the issues that would have resulted in what occurred on the 1st of September, but it will also allow us to go into in depth of some of the things that we may know now. So whether those are finances, whether those were the campaign had concern about internal issues with reference to identification of the candidates, whether it was the issue of the coalition not having the sort of unity getting into the campaign. There are many other issues that we can look at with regards to what occurred on September 1st, 2025, and how that would have influenced the results and the outcome of the election. But I think it starts with that, which is a very comprehensive, insightful, and honest evaluation so that we know not only the issues, but we can diagnose them to the extent that we understand what went wrong and how to correct them. So in Linden, for example, whether it's the emergence of the Win Party and how they managed to make any inroads, let us not forget, Andrew, in 2023, Linden ran the most successful local government elections ever, bringing more people out to the polls than any time before. Yours truly got more votes than any candidate in a local government election ever in terms of per capita. So it is not that the party doesn't know how to mobilize, organize, and stay engaged with the public as we did 2 years in 2023. But I think also within the 8 years of being out of politics or active politics myself, I believe a lot would have changed. And in those changes, it would have been how we would have adapted to those changes that would have been the most important thing. That for me, coming out of 2023 local government elections, with my re-emergence back into politics and some of the observations that were made, those were some of the things that I believe we can look at in terms of how the voting public engaged the campaign of the APNU in the general elections and how we actually performed in the 2023 local government elections in Linden. Another thing to add to that too, Andrew, in terms of the voting demographic, is the first time we would have witnessed every single demographic of voters in this country actually actively turn on to politics. I've been managing campaigns maybe 20 years, 4 campaigns, very successful. And it is the first time, including the local government campaign in 2023, that we have not only witnessed young people as one of those demographics, but even Afro-Guyanese youths who many times shied away from the polls, who were engaged and who stayed informed about electoral issues and actually took that to the polls. I think those are now areas we have to start to focus on, how we start to engage, meet those young people, and what are the things that are really affecting them that we can start to address to ensure that their lives are improved. I know the culture of politics have also changed, where there is an expectation within this microwave generation of quick fix, of the looking for it type of culture, of the eat a food mentality, where everybody want to eat a food and everybody looking for it. Not bad, of course, but what we have now not done is to say, what is that it that they should be looking for, where we now have to put a definition, and what is this food that they're so hungry for, and how we could ensure it's that nourishing to take care of them. I think those are the areas we now find ourselves that we have to get through to figure out this new political dynamics.
Indeed, because in this election that we had in September 1, a lot of persons were gravitating to the popularity, who as you said, who can give me a bread, who can give me a blind, who can give me some food, and not looking at the fundamentals, which is in the long run, how will that affect me and my family and my future in this country? Because should the blind and the bling and the bread fall through, who are you going to? What is your next option? So I think issues need to be more placed on the front burner, bringing up
So let me
their
give you
right.
one, Andrew.
Yes.
Let me give you one about issues as you spoke about. So only recently, and I should be in the community in Blackford too. And you heard the residents complaining about the People's Progressive Party distributing black tanks. And
Yes.
they're not too favorable of these tanks because it's only so far you can take black tanks. And many times it goes to family, friends, and favorites. And it doesn't address the real needs of the community. Now, we have one of the persons in the political arena who visited the community and made the same promise in the persons from the Win Party. And the people in the community said, listen, this again doesn't solve our problems. What we want is a well. So persons have recognized the handout culture can take you so far, but it is not necessarily a sustainable situation when you want, as a farmer, as housewives, as people who are living and who would want to have portable 24 hours water, rather than a black tank where you have to try to cultivate water, whether it's from the rain or whether you have to get it from some other means of harnessing that when it comes. So you're right. Persons recognize, even though we want to eat a food, and even though they're looking for it, they now recognize what is sustainable becomes the it, and what is sustainable becomes the best food that we want to eat.
Indeed. But indeed, because that is the dynamics that persons need to know, look at, and to try to figure out a way around it, because especially political parties now coming up, they have to ensure they have another what is call it again in politics,
Yes.
a war chest, so to speak.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to
yeah,
ensure that
yeah.
the war chest, and that has a problem as well, because some of the observers brought it up in elections that the government used taxpayers' resources to beef up their
Mhm.
campaign, and the other parties didn't have that kind of resources, and there need to be laws going into parliament now. There need to be laws to deal with that. Um, yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, but they're quite correct, Andrew. Like I said, in the evaluation report, you will see that campaign financing should be in the legislation in as part of law. to ensure that we understand how political parties are being funded and there's proper accountability and transparency in terms of the use of resources to fund campaigns. It's very important because I think by now we recognize if you have money, not only that you can get into the race, but that you can buy yourself into the legislature. And at the same time, does it represent in itself what is good for Guyana or what is just good for the individuals with the most that they can invest to get involved in politics? I think those are very, very clear areas campaign financing and legislation will work to ensure that we get a better outcome in terms of spending in these campaigns and proper accountability and transparency.
Exactly. Another thing you have going for you, Mr. Mayor, is this whole composition of your councillors in the RDC in these after these elections. You have a problem if you don't know, if you haven't really worked it out properly. You can have a problem with the government getting a majority with a deal with WIN or with the FGM, right? Have you been having talks with your with your fellow MPs and your fellow councillors from the other side to see how best they can keep a strong hold on the NDC? You have Mr. Goring there might be a new chairman for Region 10. Have you been having talks with the WIN party to ensure that you have some kind of synergy or agreements with WIN to secure that majority in the council, Linden?
I think the good thing, if you call it that, about what is happening with the political environment that we're in now is that there is need for a lot of compromise and consensus. I think more than anything else, we have to understand there as the RDC, but in the municipality, is that we have always maintained a very healthy relationship with every single politician in terms of ensuring that relationship is one that works in the interest of the people and gets the outcome in the interest of the people that we represent. So whether it's Mr. Gorin, who served and is currently the vice chairman, and his party is with 9 seats in the RDC, and he is tipped by his party to be the chairman. And I say by his party because I would hope that all goes well in the RDC and we don't have any confusion. But just let me put this. There is no clear position in the RDC at Region 10. For example, the WIN party is with 9 seats and the combined opposition is with 9 seats. So you will still have to get someone to go over to support the outcome of a regional chairman, should the WIN party need that. And that's the point I'm coming to. The environment opens up for a whole lot of uncertainty, but at the same time, it provides for opportunity in terms of consensus and compromise in terms of working in the interests of the general collective. So I think it requires now a lot of mature approach to the political environment, a careful understanding and analysis of what is or the things that people are desperately in need of, and ensuring that those who go, whether it's RDC, municipality, member parliament, that they are very focused on that, which is in the best interest of our people.
But have you been talking with WIN party, of the party of your party? I've been talking with the WIN party or Amanza Walton Desire for a possible coalition or collaboration, or you have been talking with the PPP? What has the other your party been doing? Having talks with anybody? I know you said that you're always having talks or collaboration, but has there been talks with WIN and Amanza Walton for possible coalition?
So the most I'll say at this moment, I'm certain that there are discussions that are taking place. I am certain about that, and that's as much I'll say in terms of conversation. But I'll say further to that, that there is always going to be conversation. Like I said, the new political reality of September 1st, 2025 doesn't allow any political party to operate in terms of not recognizing the importance of even a party with one seat at this moment. So there is always going to be that scope, not only for engagement, but at this moment, no party can move without engagement, especially those in the opposition.
Let us jump outside of your region for a moment. You have the same thing that may be happening because your party, you're going to be elected a member of parliament. You're having the same thing happening in Region 8, or is it Region 9? You're having the same thing happening there. You're having the same
Region
thing happening in
4,
Region 7. You have the same thing happening in
Region
Region
4.
4. You know, you mentioned something there that is very key, and I want the public to understand, is that these negotiations can cause confusion and conflicts if they're not dealt with properly. What would be your advice to your colleagues in the opposition side, in the NDC, in the RDC opposition side? What would be your advice to them to ensure that you keep some form of order and control, and not have the PP taking over all 10 regions and running things, as one would say?
You know, like I said before, working together to get an outcome and people sincerely seeing that is what is going to transcend you in this political arena with what is most important at this moment, to have political trust. It's very, very hard to come by. I see it even more difficult in this environment where we have a lot that would have occurred post September 1st, 2025. But I believe once you can show that level of consistency of what becomes most important, which is to ensure that we get the best outcome in the interest of the people of Guyana. To do that, you will have to demonstrate a level of maturity. Unlike pre-2020, pre-September 1st, you cannot use that same approach. You have to mature to the reality of what we have now. And I think our politics in Linden, my politics over the period in Region 10, have demonstrated that we are prepared to work with anyone that is prepared to work in the interests of the people sincerely. We have demonstrated that we are prepared to oppose anyone that come against the people and not work in their interests. And I think that consistency is absolutely needed at this moment, along with a mature.
We seem to lose the mayor, Mr. Sharma Solomon. We'll stay tuned. We're going to try and get him back, because these discussions are very, very important. We have lost signal with the mayor. Let's see if you can get him back. Oh, he's back. Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yes, continue. You were saying.
Yes. So, like I said, those 2 points become critical. That people must know that no matter what, there must be a level of mature politics that comes from all parties at the moment. And second to that, that once it's in the interest of people, then every party politician must be willing to go the distance, whether it's to oppose in the strongest way, and we have to take that to whatever level we have to, or whether it's to support in whatever way, and whatever compromise and consensus must be arrived at to ensure that right, proper, strong representation is made on behalf of Guyanese, and Guyanese get what they deserve. I think that is very important. Once persons recognize politicians and political parties are not serious as that and are prepared to do those things, then I think coming up to local government election will be our first test to see if the Guyanese people will reward us for it.
You you have a new minister of local government. Minister Priya Manik Chan is the new minister of local government. Have you received a call from her? Has she been able to discuss her role and function as to how she's going to help out Linden, how she's going to bring some form of assistance to your municipality and to the region as well? Have you gotten a call from her since she's been elected as the new minister of local government?
No, I've not received a call from Minister Manichan. It is not someone who I've not related to well, Minister of Education only a few months ago while they had this turning exercise for the multilateral school, the Wisma Christianburg Secondary School. But what I can say is that Minister Manichan would have already received a correspondence from my desk with reference to the town clerk and the council at the last statutory taking a decision to terminate his services because of several infractions which went through a disciplinary hearing that he refused to attend, outlined by the local government commission of the 4 steps to take with regards to such disciplinary action that were taken. And the council, in taking a recommendation from the committee, recommended this termination. That was the letter that was sent to Minister Manichan, and that is our only engagement so far.
So your town clerk is still on the job. He has not moved. He's still there, coming to work and doing the work.
Well, what we have done, this matter is now before the minister. So I am giving the minister a fair opportunity. What we did in the transition of the ministers and what was happening in the height of the election, we are giving this minister a fair opportunity to see a matter that was being dealt with by the past minister. And instead of allowing the procedures and the local government commission and even the council to be able to function in line with good governance, what we had before, in several instances, was a minister who went into the matters and affairs of the council with some level of ministerial overreach in terms of payment, in terms of protection of the clerk. And I think with all of those infractions that came out during the hearing and those that are well documented, and what we have presented to the local government commission in line with their requirements of conducting such a hearing, I think it was only fair that Minister Manichan coming in when she was sworn in, and this matter of the termination of the clerk was only recently given to her as of last week. And we are waiting to see not only her, but the local government commission. And that again is where a problem is, because here it is, we have a commission without commissioners. And we hope to have this matter be dealt with. So again, that's why we give this a fair opportunity to the incoming minister, so that she understands not only the level of the council where we have issues, but where there is no commission that should be acting as an appellate body, so to speak, and adjudicate over these matters if there are problems, is not in place.
Not in place. If you just join us, you are listening to the countdown with the Mayor of Linden, Mr. Sharma Solomom, and he's also the MP-elect for that region. He is on the show this morning, and we're discussing a number of matters of national importance. Mr. Mayor, back to Linden and back to your municipality. Seeing that you're working with a hung town clerk, a town clerk does not follow procedures, does not care about rules and so on. How has the council been functioning? I know that you had an incident. You have some incidents right now. You have both sides on strike. You had a bridge that is deteriorating. You have contracts in your region that are still going on. You have infiltration into your region from foreigners, from foreign workers. You have a lot of foreign workers taking over the job market in your town. You have a lot of work going on, a lot of expansion going on. What's going on? Some even obstructing traffic. Some even, getting into the thing of being there in the midst of the hype of rush hours and causing confusion and chaos in your district. How are you dealing with some of those issues? Let's start with both sides for now. Let's start with both sides in the strike that is happening right now. What have you heard? What have you been giving assurance of?
Well, what we have done is I have so far, this matter came to my attention over a week ago in relation to the workers' contention with their union to begin with. I was brought up to date that the workers had a difference in view with their union. And as a politician, I've always taken an approach to ensure that workers get the best representation they deserve, whether from union or their elected official. But for those union approaches, we said to them, it is important that they resolve that which they did not. And the workers, unfortunately, without the union, it is important to have their unions involved, took strike action. So the strike
Union,
action is,
which union is representing the workers
I
there right
think
now?
it's NAFSI, is the union. And I would say to the workers, they took the right action because the union should be in support of the workers. Now, over the past 24 hours, I have made every effort to not only engage the workers, but I'm engaging their representatives to ensure that the union acts in sync with what are the desires of their workers in terms of the several matters that they've placed on the bargaining table. I was told recently, as of a few hours ago, that on Thursday, there was an engagement where the union representatives and government met to advance some of these positions. So I'll be engaging the workers forward on this just to get clarity. But my first position is to ensure that the union understands their obligation to those workers and that the demands being made by the workers are advanced and clearly articulated by the union on behalf of those workers to management, and even if it's to the local government ministry, to the labor ministry, so that those workers can get not only representation, but they can get their dues in terms of things they're protesting about. So we are looking at the matter, and we have been engaging both the union and the workers. And I am to engage the company. In fact, in speaking with the company on Thursday, I was told that we have to wait until Monday for us to have an engagement. So we are going to be meeting with the company also, as we have dealt with the union and the workers and the company to see how we can resolve this outstanding matter.
We're hearing that they're having issues with sick leave, fair treatment, respect on the job, breaking of labor laws, things like unsafe machinery.
Which again, Andrew, is most unfortunate that you have a union who should have already known of these matters. And I think that is where the unfortunate matter of this in terms of representation for those workers. And they're not getting the sort of representation. We were part of several meetings that I'm aware about, where the union asked a few of the persons we've asked to attend those meetings to leave the meetings. Obviously, they said they weren't workers. But at those meetings, we saw how difficult it was for workers to get the support of the union on some of the things that you're speaking about, which by any right-thinking worker and any constitutionally obligated union would know that these are actual breach of labor laws when it comes to the things that you spoke about just.
Yeah, very, very, very concerned. What about some of the projects that you have going on in your town? I know that you recently visited the bridge that the woman and her child fell into. What are the updates you got from that incident, and how is the bridge being done in terms of safety for other parts and persons who want to use that
So
facility?
let me just take this from the traffic first. The congestion of the bridge is causing heavy buildup of traffic, especially in the morning and in the afternoon, get to work and get home from work hours. And we had a meeting with the police Deputy Commander Austin and Assistant Superintendent Joseph yesterday. And we discussed with them some of what we can look at in terms of the approach to the bridge, some different areas where we would want to have traffic management and traffic regulation to be placed. So we are working with the police in terms of traffic management first, and they'll get back to us. I spoke with the representative of the bridge on Thursday morning for them to support some of the suggestions and initiatives that were proposed by the police, which they'll consider. And with reference to the actual infrastructure itself, so that is where we're looking at with traffic. Let us not forget, Andrew, the 1st of August, this government made one of the most reckless decisions without consideration of how it will impact the council and the people of Linden when they removed that bridge toll, and not say to the public how we will ensure that $77 million that will be removed from the council coffers, we will be able to deal with that, one. And secondly, the issue of maintenance of the bridge, how will that be done and who is now responsible? The Mackenzie-Wismar Bridge falls under the Mackenzie-Wismar Bridge Act that says exactly how those two things should be done. Maintenance, its management, and in terms of rates, how those rates should be remitted to the council. That is gazetted. So for government in August 1st to remove the toll and to obstruct that in itself is one. When we take to the National Assembly, we will understand if it is in line with what the Bridge Act provides, because that's a law. And if it is something that the president, based on his executive function, would have done, then it is important for the government to say to the municipality how we are going to deal with that 77 million not coming into our coffers, where it was Mr. Jagdio who said that they will be engaging the municipality, which they have not done so far. And more than that, which is to remit to us, the fact that we see the bridge collapsing, which an inspection was done 5 months ago, and recently we saw some residents with Paul Jones did an inspection, and all inspections have concluded that the bridge is in a deteriorating state and needs urgent repair. We even had an engineer from the Ministry of Public Works who came by Mr. Parkinson and did an inspection of the bridge also, and went back with said report to the Ministry of Public Works. So we are aware that this bridge is in need of urgent repairs. What the government instead did when we told them that would be remedial works to the area that collapsed under the weight of the young lady and her child. And to make the point that the bridge that they're working on will be completed soon, as if to say we should take our chances with what we have and deal with the little cosmetic repairs that we are seeing at the moment. So this week, Andrew, I can say to you, we are going to do, after they have completed some of that work, another inspection, and we're going to let the public know, again, just how risky it is. We have identified the structural compromise in terms of its structural integrity, where those compromises are, and we're going to further let the public know the chance and the risk that the government is allowing the public to take without putting the necessary steps in place to address those. So before I go, I made this point on one show before. It is the mentality of Minister Edgell, for example, when these matters come up, and I think that is why they put out the statement to show that the new bridge will be completed soon, rather than to say how they intend to fix and maintain the existing bridge. It is to say, well, we've been living with that for a period, we can live with it some more until we complete the emerging infrastructure, as they did with the Nikedak Road.
So right now for the bridge, you're not allowing persons to walk over that bridge right now, right?
Where the area to walk is, you cannot walk because at least as of yesterday, they were still doing the repairs and that entire section had to be removed. And it was only allowed for vehicular traffic to use the bridge as of yesterday.
Just vehicular traffic alone.
Yes.
Okay, what about some of the other infrastructure? You have some roads going on, you have some...
Yes, so
there.
let me say this, Andrew. One of the things we have found with government, this council last year asked for 3 levels of consultations and consultants to come on. When we had the floods, we asked for an engineer to come on as a consultant to look at 3 things: the flow structure, the maps, and the drainage pattern within the community. That is a recommendation that we put forward to council, and we're waiting for that person to be hired. So far, the clerk have not moved ahead to have that person engage or hire. The second consultant we asked to be hired was one to help us with waste management and to help us to put together a comprehensive waste management plan so that we can start to see how we can deal with not only the dump site, education, training, enforcement, but several other things with reference to having a waste management plan. And we have so far had a template from a Mr. Sam Wright who submitted a plan. And we've asked the clerk to have Mr. Wright be part of the consultation and the consultant committee to do that. That has not been done. The third we've worked on is to have a repository group of persons who are professionals and specialists, that when we have these big activities, these major projects, and Linden is in fact region 10, a very heavy zone of moving a lot of infrastructural, not only works and projects being done, but materials for infrastructural works and projects to be done, whether it's laterite, stone, sand, or any other materials that are being used. Yeah. We wanted that group of people to be here to guide the municipality. We don't have the qualified engineers, or even our works department can deal with some of these massive works that are being done in the town. So the council took on a position to have these group of experts who can able to guide, to show how we can work to bring in line these matters and how we can address them effectively. That too has not been done, Andrew.
That not being done.
And
wow.
Let me further say this too. Many of those projects, when they come with environmental assessment impact, they come with social assessment impact. And I can say to you, many of these works, the council are not seeing any ESIA. We are not seeing the sort of impact assessment so that we can advise the public on how these works will impact them adversely and how they can make preparation to ensure that they're not so affected by them. These are some of the reasons we wanted these experts to also interpret some of these environmental assessment and social assessment and how we can put as a municipality things in place to deal with it.
I've seen a lot of markets being repaired or even redone or even built over. You have police stations as well being built over. Have you gotten any word from government or a signal from government from the subvention that they're giving you that they have any intention to assist you of even repairing or building over a new market for the municipality of Linden? And before you go to that, you said just now that the $77 million that you normally get from the tolls, the government have not really shown you how they're going to assist you in getting that back. How are you ready? Where are you getting your funds from? I mean, what are you getting your funds from to control the city and to look after the interest of the city? What is going on?
Well, you start with the market. We have not been approached by government for any upgraded markets. We've had an expanded constituency in a media's ward that is entitled to a market square or marketplace. We are aware of a PPP aligned businessman who have taken up that location, of which the council at the moment is pursuing, that the media's ward marketplace or space should have gone. So that is being dealt with by the council. And also, as I said, the government have made no provision for any new market or any upgrade of the market. What the council did last year is that we took our 18 million subvention to do upgrade works at the Wisma market, which in itself, it's not sufficient, the amount of money to upgrade that market. And it's not going to put it in any modern state. It's just going to fix the roof. It's going to take care of some plumbing works and some other exterior works that should have been done around the market, $18 million. But as it relates to the market itself, every other NDC and tongue in particular, especially around those tongues that are aligned to the People's Progressive Party, we've seen markets go up at Monrepo, come down, go up at Monrepo, come down, go up at Monrepo, come down. And we have not seen even any intervention by the government to take a serious look at the markets in Linden, even though last year we'd sent a note to the minister asking for some attention to be paid to the Mackenzie market in a project we had called the Mackenzie Market Advancement Initiative. So yes, we have made approach for them to intervene. Where they have not, we have taken the resources of the council, which is the subvention, and we have intervened, even though insufficient and insignificant, the amount of works we may be able to get done. You ask about the revenues. The revenue come from the bridge toll. Outside of that, we have another toll that collects revenue for the repairs of the road. 10% of that goes for road repairs. But a lot of that goes towards paying salaries and wages and salaries. The bridge toll is one also that went towards paying wages and salaries. And like we said, with the removal of 7%,
that has been cut from the in terms of
that has been cut. That has been cut, even though we had already included that in our 2025 budget, because we stopped receiving that as of the 1st of August, which would have been almost $6 million a month. We stopped receiving that. So between August and we're in September, we've already lost $12 million, and we're expected to lose more of that. What we have not gotten from the government is how we will deal with the shortfall of that with reference to wages and salaries, and our ability to ensure that we give effective and efficient service around the tongue of Linden. But like you asked just now, Andrew, how do we manage? So government is with a responsibility in line with law to ensure that they work with municipality by the constitution, whether it's through the local government ministry or even the local government commission, to ensure that municipalities are given the attention by the state in whatever way. We have found that once government is incapable, which they have demonstrated they're unwilling, more than incapable, of doing any such relations or relatable with council, then whatever small resources we have, whether it's subvention or otherwise, as we've demonstrated, we will take that and make the best of it, as we are doing with the Wisma market. But we've also said where it is more than insufficient and cannot do as much as we want to do, this council, this 5th council of the municipality of Linden, have gone to the residents, and that is our 3rd most effective approach, where we go to residents and we go to people in the communities, and most of the agenda items that we had to get done, that is the 3rd option we have used to get them done, actually. Working with the people.
Working with the people, indeed. We're just wrapping up here with Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, I want to jump back a little bit to some internal politics. I've been hearing, from some people, especially a call was made, Mr. Sharma. I want to get your thought on it. There was a call that was made by Mr. Winston Jordan about your leader. He said that he asked Mr. Norton to pull back, step back, and allow, based on in these elections, that he asked your leader to step back and to allow and to make way for new leadership, to make way for new leadership, and to make way for him also being transitioning into the position of party elder. You think that was a just call from Mr. Winston Jordan, former Minister of Finance, to have your leader step back or resign in at the next Congress, and to allow for new leadership to take its place? And who do you consider those new leadership to be, if that should be Mr. Norton's decision?
I am an institutionalist, Andrew. I really believe in the power of the institution, and I believe that the People's National Congress is one of the most influential and will remain so for a very long time institutions in this country. It is one of the most, in terms of structurally assembled, in terms of its constitution and membership, party structures, in terms of groups, general council, in terms of having a Congress that identifies not only the leader but leadership. And that is where I want to first put my trust in our institution. I think it's the prerogative of anyone to process loss in different ways, including the way Mr. Jordan would have processed his to express himself and would have expressed himself. But with reference to where I see things, I believe that it is important that a very clear process is in place that allows for the party to move back to having faith in what the party have always demonstrated through its constitution, and allow those mechanisms to work. So whether the mechanism is that we have a Congress coming up, then the party should prepare for the Congress. The Congress allows for the identifying of new leadership. And I think that is where we should allow the process to work. I always believe that to leave an institution leaderless, it's more dangerous than to have someone who you can have work to ensure that that process is one that people can have full confidence and faith in. And I believe that is where we should all be focusing, whether it's the leader of the party, whether it's members of the party, executives of the party, to ensure that for the next Congress, a very transparent, accountable, and inclusive process is put forward in line with our party constitution and in line with those organs that allow the party to effectively work and allow them to work. I think what is happening to Andrew is that we have never had this situation before of where people have, we've down to 12 seats. We've never had a situation before where we weren't able to have a coalition that takes us to the victory, especially coming off of a last coalition. So I think what more importantly becomes, as we move to talk about new leadership and even the outcome of the election, is for a careful assessment and evaluation of what went wrong, so that we can understand that when new leadership, if they should come, that they understand what they have to do to ensure that they fix what went wrong. So I think several things must be happening before we come to such a call on June, which is to first ensure that the institution is protected, to ensure a process is put in place that allows for the best leadership to emerge, even if it's Mr. Norton who desire, and I think I heard him said that he's not going to be going to Parliament, which is the start of where he sees himself to build and to work to ensure that there is effort to put that process in place that brings out an accountable and transparent outcome that we can all embrace and be satisfied with. And I think that for me is where I would want to place my efforts most, to ensure that we support as party members, whether it's the leader, the leadership, its members, membership groups, supporters, a process that allows for the best possible outcome.
Best possible outcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. Before you go as well, though, on Thursday, This International Maritime Day. Is there any word you want to leave with your boat captains and boat owners and so on and so forth, who is traversing your region to and fro over the river and back every day? Is there any word you want to leave with them in observance of International Maritime Day?
Linden is a very watery town. The region itself is bordered by the Berbice River and the Essequibo River, and the Demerara River cuts deep the center of the Linden community. So all three of the most important waterways either runs through or embrace the tongue of Linden or the region. We have almost 900 different lakes and creeks around the community, some very important, and someone like Sam Wright would give you the names of most of them. But with reference to the maritime matter, we've always said this to many of our boat captains, because on all three of those water networks, we have commercial boat businesses who we've always advised that they must put safety first, one. And I think culturally, we've also said in terms of the maritime use of these water networks, that traditionally Linden used not only a highway, but we started out with the use of the river to transport people, cargo, and so many things to different parts of the country. And I think for that sort of cultural heritage and tradition, we have started to see the return of regattas in Linden and Region 10, which allows that sort of use of the maritime space in a more responsible way. So not only we've asked captains and people who are in the commercial use to ensure safety is put first, but also in the cultural heritage understanding of where Linden is with the water networks. We're trying to return the use of the maritime space for these activities, whether it's regatta or even other family outing. I know even bird watching and birding, we've had people of the Demerara and the Essequibo River. So even for those reasons, we also say to people that Region 10 is open for persons to come and use our water networks for all of those purposes, whether commercial, touring, whatever. And we encourage, like we do, for it to be done safely and to promote it as it should, historically, what it has always done, which is to bring attention to the tongue of Linden.
Sharma Solomom there for you, Mayor of Linden of Georgetown, Mayor of Linden, not Georgetown, the Mayor of Linden, Region 10. Yes. He is going to be transitioning very soon to the MP portfolio. And so, Mr. Mayor, before we go, is there anything else that you want to bring to the fore that we have not discussed that you want to bring to the fore in closing before we go?
Yeah, just again, Andrew, thanks for having me on the program. I think, as I said, Linden, the heart of Guyana, we have a lot of work to do. As I take this time to say to the public, not only Guyana, but in particular the residents and the good folks of Linden, I want to thank them for the opportunity given to serve, not only as your regional chairman, but now as your mayor, and look forward to continue service as your member of parliament, but to say that we have had enough experience and understanding of the issues that we know working with the residents is how we get things done. And we look forward for that continued support and working relationship to get a lot more done with reference to our work in the National Assembly. But I want to thank the residents for their support. I want to thank them for their confidence and to say to them that we're prepared and we are set and ready to continue working even harder in their interests.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And we want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors as you go over to the MP portfolio. And we know that you do a great job there again, because, as you said, you're an institutionalist, and I know that you will keep their feet to the fire to ensure that they follow the law. So thank you very much for being a part of our program this morning, and all the best to you and your staff there at the municipality. And we hope that you continue to do the great job that you're doing, and that everyone will continue to support the you yourself and the municipality. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Bless you.
All right, and that was Mayor Sharma Solomom there for you on our show this morning. We want to thank all of you for being with us. And we're going to see you right back here again for another edition of this countdown. Good afternoon and goodbye.